See, I don't know about you guys, but single-ply toilet paper just is not doing it for me. So I just want to personally say screw you, Susan, for buying all the toilet paper at the store because of coronavirus. Sorry to break it to you, but you're still gonna die. You know, even if you have pounds and pounds of toilet paper, you are still gonna die. Anyway, what's up? My name's Stina, and this is a Two Girls One Mic podcast, and I'm here with my sister,
Missy, who is surviving this apocalypse.
Luckily for you guys in the chat, you are safe from coronavirus here.
We can't cough on you from through us.
So, let's be in quarantine together.
Yes, let's do it.
And that's the last time we're going to talk about coronavirus, because no one wants to hear that. We hear about it on the news. We don't need to talk
Twitter,
about it. Yeah, we just
Facebook,
just
all the
stop buying all the toilet paper, Susan. That's all I have to say.
because that's totally gonna save your life.
This podcast is going to be great. We don't have any sort of outline whatsoever because we've been busy all day. Literally just got done making this map like
It looks amazing.
2 minutes ago.
I may have hit her a couple of times because
I
we
took
have very different opinions on how things should look.
I am not gonna lie, there's a design in the floor, and when I was designing it, I wasn't really thinking, and I designed it like a bad logo to something that's not good. So we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. We fixed it. But yeah, so I watched part of SmackDown yesterday, which is WWE. Don't worry, it's only gonna be 2 minutes of me talking about this, and
I don't believe you.
they filmed it without audience. So it's a whole bunch of wrestlers who their job is to hype up a crowd. So they're trying to hype up a crowd that just isn't there. And honestly, it's just comedy gold. I think it's one of my favorite episodes of SmackDown ever. Without the crowd.
Imagine the memes from that. Picture them all.
The whole time I was watching a wrestling match between... it was a tag team match between Alexa Bliss with Nikki Cross versus Bayley and Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks kept yelling, "Come on, somebody cheer for her," when there's no audience. It was pretty great. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yep. You're like obsessed with wrestling. Completely.
I am. I was...
Literally the only thing you're more obsessed with is your fade grips.
Which, if you guys want to be obsessed with something, you can go to FadeGrips.store and use my clan's discount code, AllKings8, for 8% off, which is basically 8% off of your gaming needs. And guess what? They aren't sold out.
You can buy fade grips. You don't have to worry about the apocalypse ending.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about Susan buying all your fade grips. She bought all the toilet paper. But you're safe on your fade grips. I downed an entire bag of hot Cheetos today, almost. I think I have very little bit left.
Sister, we're supposed to be saving that for the apocalypse. What are you doing?
Oh,
Ration your food.
listen. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm gonna try to get more hot Cheetos later, and if they're all sold out, that is my main source
They
of
probably will be sold
energy.
Because anything that oh my god. So I went to the store yesterday, and anything that has a shelf life was gone. And then underwear as well.
Yeah.
All the underwear was gone.
I wanted boxers, and all the boxers
what
are
is
gone.
happening? Why underwear? Why do you suddenly need underwear now that the world's ending? Like, aren't there bigger issues going on?
Yeah. But you know what? They might die, but at least they got mounds and mounds of toilet paper.
And underwear.
Yep.
That they're probably going to use as toilet paper.
I saw this picture my brother sent me. It was of a paper towel roll cut into 3, and it said "Desperate Times." We actually have a lot of toilet paper.
But it's the crappiest toilet paper you could ever
But
have.
it wasn't because we stocked up on it. My dad, this was like maybe like a year ago.
Was an idiot, and he bought this really crappy toilet paper where you need to use like half the roll.
Yeah,
where
he
it
bought
just goes,
single
like,
ply.
right through.
Yeah, he bought.
He bought it twice. So the first
Yeah.
time he did it, he was like, "Oh, oops, I didn't realize." And then he did it again, and I was like, this is why you don't buy the cheapest one you find.
Yeah, it was like a deal, like, I think it was like,
I don't know.
buy one, get one. So he bought like a ton and didn't realize it was single ply toilet paper. So we have a ton of just single ply toilet paper. So if desperate times, at least we're good.
We also have a lot of books in the house, so...
Yeah, she said we could start using the Bible. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a sin, but okay.
Just for times, fam!
I don't think Jesus will mind, I guess.
He wouldn't. He'd be like, well, I mean, you gotta do something.
Also, all the people that bought toilet paper in large amounts of quantities, you only deserve to wipe your butt with poison ivy.
Poison oak, fam.
What she said. She's the smart one, I'm the funny one, and the good-looking one.
It's just... How are you the good-looking one when I've had multiple guys going at me?
So, do you want to tell the story about your new boyfriend?
Oh, God.
Don't mention names.
Obviously not, but, okay, so... I do sports, and there's this guy who's like 50 who also does sports with us. And so I've always been friendly, like we've just been nice and hi, kind of how you doing sort of thing. And then
I posted a photo of me and my sister on Facebook.
Yep, and it was from a while ago, and so
Yeah.
he commented on it, and we were like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see you at hockey.
He's like, how are you guys doing? And he's like, said how he had this medical thing. So we're both like, oh, sorry to hear that. That's such a bummer.
And then he comments, Missy, I have to tell you something, but I don't know how to say it. And I didn't see it because it was a comment. It wasn't like a private message, so I didn't get a notification. But then right after that, he was like, did you get my message? And so I was like, oh, sorry, yeah, what's up? And he was like, I have a crush on you, but I don't have anything I can do about it. And meanwhile, this is all public. This is on like public post.
My public Facebook. It wasn't like in a message. And then you said,
I was like, I'm flattered, but like, I only see you as a friend because I'm in my 20s. He's in his 50s. Like,
and that's not the relationship that they have. It's never been like where you could be like, oh, I guess I could kind of see how we felt that way. Like, no.
Yeah, like literally, we barely talked, and it was awkward. I instantly, upon seeing the message, was like, Stina, help! What do I do?
I was mad because I was asleep and she like yelled, and I'm like, what? She woke me up for that.
But I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I was like, he's 50, and
he's around 50, like 40s or 50s.
And it was in public too. It's not even like it was private.
And the best part is after she said I'm flattered, he's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, I totally see you as a friend too. I'm like,
and then he goes,
why did you bring it up?
It's my favorite part, the meme part. But keep this between you and me. So I responded, I'm like, you posted that on my public Facebook page. And he goes, sorry about that. And then he like messages me, and I'm just like, whatever. I was like friendly. He's like, are you mad at me? I'm like, no, but I just wanted to let you know that you posted it publicly because you said keep this between you and me.
Yeah.
It was very much a boomer thing to do.
And on top of that, he's got a girlfriend.
Who's like, looks like she's around your age as well.
Yeah, she's really young.
I don't know how old she is actually, and I've
never talked to her.
Yeah, I've never had a conversation with her.
But she seems like obsessed with them every time I've seen them together.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, like, I don't know how much your girlfriend would appreciate that, but like, I really didn't want to get in the middle of it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And like, he's always.
Stina's recommendation was just to ignore it. I'm like, I can't ignore it.
I was.
Because I'm gonna see him when I go to the.
I was just gonna delete the comment, and then she could.
I didn't know that because you didn't say that. You just said ignore it, but you didn't say you were gonna delete it.
And then I was gonna delete it, so it's like, oh no, you never posted that. I don't know what you're talking about. My mentality for every stressful situation is just ignore it.
Yeah, well,
which is not good.
Yeah, I reached out to my brother to ask his advice. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Help me, please. And he was just like, to say I was flattered but not interested, and then I switched it a little bit to be like, oh, I see you as a friend.
What I would have just said is like, that's not the kind of relationship we have.
Yeah, I just didn't want it to be awkward because I'm going to see him again. Like,
but I'm really...
I couldn't just flat out ignore it.
I'm also really good at that because I have stuff like that happen to me a lot, and I'm not trying to brag.
God.
I really do.
The guy who asked you out when you were like 16.
I was 16, and he was like, yeah, he was something, and he was like, and I didn't think about it when he said it. He's like, hey, can I have your number? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then after I like thought about it, and then like I didn't give it to him right then because he was like doing something. So it was time to go. So I'm immediately like telling my family, like, we need to go. We cannot hang around here. We need to go. And so I get in the car, and I'm in the car with my siblings, and
your dad hooks you up.
he sees my dad. He goes, oh, she said that she was going to give me her number. And then I'm like, my dad's like, oh yeah, come to the car. Like, he didn't see anything wrong with that, like a 30-year-old guy asking for my number. And I'm like,
probably not like a friend. He probably didn't think like.
and I'm trying to make like eye contact, like, no, go, like, we need to go. And he comes to the car, and he, I think I said like something like, oh, I'll give it to you next year or something.
Yeah, and then you dropped out of.
Yeah, because I didn't want to deal with that because we're on the same team. It's like a co-ed, like 13 to like 80 years old, like sports team.
Yeah, 13 is the minimum. There's no maximum.
So I remember after he asked for my number, I was trying to like make hints, like, yeah, I'm not legal, like, this is weird.
Yeah,
I was like,
she even said the date, her birth date.
I was like,
and he was like, oh yeah, I graduated high school that year.
yeah, I was like, I can't believe I'm about to graduate high school in 2 years. I'm only 16 right now. I was born in 2000. I was saying that to my sister, and I was next to him, so he would hear. He's like, oh, I graduated high school when you were born. And then he, like, still wanted my number. I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it was awkward.
There's also, I'm just going to tell you the times where I'm, like, good at handling this now because it just happened to me so many times. Another time happened this summer. I was at this mall by my house. It's kind of like, not like an abandoned mall, but it's not popular. It's like a dead zone. And I was just, like, walking around, and I was on the phone with one of my friends, Pablo, twitch.tv/KC Queso. No, I never can say it because his name's so weird. It's QC Queso. But I was on the phone with him, and I'm just like talking, and this guy, we like make eye contact, and then like we smile, and I'm just like doing my thing, and he's doing his thing. And then I was on the phone with my friend, then I walk around, and it's like a small mall, so I'm just like doing laps in the mall, so like we cross paths again, and he's like, hey, beautiful. I'm like, hey, and then like I keep walking, kind of thing, and then he comes up to me. I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but he's like, I just wanted to say you're really beautiful. I'm like, thanks. And then he's like, what's your name? And I'm like, Christina. And he's like, oh, I'm T. And I'm like, cool, nice to meet you. And then like I keep walking, and he goes, and he's like, oh, I'm so tired, man. I just got off of working a double shift. I'm like, man, sounds rough. And then he's like, yeah, I work at blah, 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 and I'm just loading trucks day in and day out, and I'm just like really tired. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, sounds exhausting. He's like, do you work? I'm like, oh, I'm in school right now, and I'm on break. And he's like, oh, cool. He was like, yeah, beautiful girl like you, like, you're gonna go far. I'm like, and then he's like, most girls would be afraid of a big black man approaching them, but you seem really nice. I'm like, we're all just doing life. That's like what I said because I didn't know what to say. And then he's like, yeah, so can I have your number? And I'm on the phone with my friend, so he can like clearly see that I have a phone. Otherwise, I normally would say, oh, I don't have a phone. And I'm like, I don't really give my number out. He's like, oh, come on, just like as a friend. And then he's like, I'm being friendly, you're being friendly, just as a friend. I'm like, sorry. And then he's like, well, will you at least add me on Facebook? I'm like, maybe, we'll see. And he's like, and I keep walking. He's like, you don't even know my name. I'm like, what's your name? And he's like, T. Clayton. And then I'm like, cool. And he's like, like the President Clayton, like Clayton. I'm like, there's no President Clayton. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, right on. And he's like, add me right now. I'm like, no, I'll add you when I get home. He's like, you don't even remember my name. So I repeated his name back to him. He's like, oh, okay. And then I never added him at home, but I totally stalked him on Facebook. And like his bio was like, I love Jesus. I'm like, I'm not saying you wanted to get with me, but that was just like a whole awkward conversation that like, I didn't want to be mean, but I was like trying to avoid him.
Yeah.
And most recently it happened maybe a couple weeks ago. And this guy was slow, like mentally, and I'm not saying that rudely, that's just what he was. And I was on the city bus and he just like comes in, he's like, I think he got off of work or something. And he like sits down next to me, which is fine, whatever. And he's just like starts talking how he's mad that his friend isn't on the same bus route as him or something. He's saying that to the driver, and he's like friendly enough, but he's the kind of guy that like talks and will not shut up. So I put both of my earbuds in. I like just don't want any part of this. And then he starts talking to me and he like taps me. So I take an earbud out and then I ask what, and then he like asked my name. I'm like, Christina, and he told me his name. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he's like, do you want to talk? I'm like, sure, because I don't know how to say no.
Yeah, she's not very good at saying no.
So I'm like, sure. And in my head I'm like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be on this bus, but I can just suck it up and be nice. And he's like, what'd you have for dinner last night? Just like asking kind of like weird questions, but trying to have a conversation. I'd like answer him, and then he would answer me. And then he would like circle back to how his friend isn't on the bus. And then he goes, all my girlfriends cheat on me. I'm like, oh, that sucks. He's like, what do you think about that? I'm like, yeah, that's not a good thing to do. And then he's like, yeah, they all cheat on me. And then he's like, yeah, all my girlfriends, even my daughter, my girlfriend cheats on me. And I'm like, what? In my head, I'm like, what, your daughter, your girlfriend, what? I'm assuming he probably doesn't have a daughter, but like, I don't know. He calls his daughter his girlfriend. He's mad that she cheated on him. And in my head, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And it's just me, this guy, and the driver. And the driver is just hardcore ignoring him, but I know he can hear this conversation. And then, he goes, hey, we should be friends. And then he's like, I need a girlfriend. Can I have your number? I'm like, I have my phone in my hand. I'm like, I don't really give it out. And he's like, oh. And then he's like, do you have a phone? And this is probably bad of me, but he was slow. So I said, no, I don't have a phone, even though I very clearly have my phone and earbuds in. He goes, oh, you don't? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to music again. Nice talking to you, and I put my earbud in, and then he taps me again, and I pretend to like not feel it, and then he pulls my earbud out. He's like, hey, I have an Alexa at home. I'm like, cool. And he's like, you should come over, because I want to show you my Alexa. I'm like, he's like, will you come over sometime? I'm like, maybe. And then he just like keeps asking for my number. I was like, I don't give it out. He's like, I did nothing wrong. I'm like, I didn't say anything. He's like, I'm just asking for your number like a friend and stuff, and I did nothing wrong. And he just keeps saying how he did nothing wrong, and I'm just like, I want off of this bus. And then I like just like he's like, well, when you get a phone you can call me. And then we finally get to my stop, and I'm like, great, now this guy like knows where I live. Thankfully I don't think he really put two and two together. So I'm like, I'm getting off the bus. He goes, hey, yeah, call me when you get a phone. I'm like, okay, even though I don't have his number, just like to get off of the bus. And he just keeps yelling like, bye, call me, like all the way to my door. And the bus driver, how it works is they have to walk you to the door, and the bus driver's like, I'm sorry about that. I'm like, it's okay. Like, it wasn't really the driver's fault, if that makes sense. We were just both in an unfortunate, like, circumstance. I'm like, oh. Like, I didn't feel threatened or anything. It was just, like, awkward and uncomfortable. So, those are my stories of, like, the 3 older men that have asked me out in my life. She's literally scrolling through, like, Instagram or something right now.
Facebook, I got bored. Sorry. I've heard the story too much. It was boring. I'm sure a lot of other people are doing the same thing.
So, yeah. That was my relationship stories. We're actually, even though we're, like, supposed to be in quarantine lockdown, we're getting tattoos on Tuesday.
Yes, we are! Sister tattoo!
Because her birthday is coming up. So we're getting sister tattoos. It's, I'll post it on Twitter, like, when they're done. But it's, like, a treble clef.
Yeah, it's gonna be a treble clef, and it's basically, like, splatter paint around it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if we can get it small enough, but still have the detail. But we'll see when we get there what the tattoo artist has done.
And it's the tattoo artist that's done, like, all my other tattoos.
And my one tattoo.
I have 2 other tattoos.
But, yeah, basically we sent him, like, our idea, basically, like, a bunch of different images that we found online.
And basically, they don't, like, a lot of artists, I would say, usually the credible artists, like, won't copy an image.
Yeah, so he usually
He'll, like, change it up.
He takes, like, what the idea is, and then he, like,
puts his spin on it.
Does his own thing.
So.
Which I like, because his spin is usually an improvement to what we sent him.
Yeah. So right now I currently have a piano that has keys falling off that, like, turn into birds. And then I have a hummingbird with the lung cancer ribbon on its beak. I eventually want to get probably just, like, one sleeve. But I don't want to get, like, tattoos that don't mean anything.
Well, I think what would be kind of interesting, since you have a lot of birds, would be to...
For the fill space, do, like, birds, right?
Well, I was saying not even the fill space, just try and, like, come up with a bird for each member of the family kind of thing.
Yeah, eventually I'm going to just tell you guys all the tattoos I'm eventually going to get so far, but they all have meaning. It's not just like, hey, I'll just put this on my body.
I really want to get a Doctor Who tattoo so bad. Because Doctor Who has meant a lot to me, so I want to get, like, it's like a little TARDIS, and then right next to it would be a quote, and I have a couple different quotes I was thinking. Like, I was thinking You and Me, Time and Space might be cool for a quote, or it's like loving the stars themselves.
We were gonna get, like, Doctor Who matching tattoos, but then I told her, I'm like, you know, I don't think I like Doctor Who enough to have it on my body.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with Doctor Who, and both those quotes are from my favorite character, so...
There's also we're debating between the treble clef or this, like, hockey 2 sticks that are across, because we played hockey together, and we were gonna do, like, our jersey numbers or the other's, like, birth year.
Yeah.
But she preferred the music note, and it's her birthday, so I'm like, okay, we can do that one.
And plus, we did a lot more, I would say we did more musical-related things than we did hockey together.
Yeah.
Like, our entire childhood, we participated in musicals through, like, church and stuff. We made a band together as children, which was a lot of fun.
Can we share the name of that band, which I'm sure we've mentioned on the podcast before?
We had a band called the White Squirrels.
And it was called the White Squirrels because there was one white squirrel in our neighborhood that we'd always see on the telephone pole.
It wasn't on the telephone pole. It was in a tree. We just came up with a song called...
But it would dance across the telephone pole. Oh. Like, yes, it would. It would run...
Not at all. We literally only made that song because one of the kids in the band thought it would be a cool song. We had a song called White Squirrels on the Telephone Pole.
White squirrels on the telephone pole.
I can't even sing the high part anymore.
No, it's like cheesy, like we wanted, like, auto-tune in it, so we're like,
we had like a little megaphone thing that could make your voice pretty.
Yeah, you know how, like, those little kid things, it's like a fake microphone that you talk into and it makes your voice high. We were elite singers, and that's what we would use for our auto-tune.
And our drummer used their skateboard as drums.
And then I remember he was mad because his skateboard had, like, drumstick marks on it. So we had to get a new skateboard and just use his old skateboard for the drum. I don't think I did any instrument. I think I just sang.
You were the rapper. You were supposed to be the rapper / backup singer. And
Yeah.
then me and the other girl were the lead singers. And then, yeah. I think there was one other person who was like also a rapper slash dancer.
Oh yeah, Lexi was our dancer.
Mm-hmm.
She won't care that I said her name, that's why I said it.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was so much fun. And it makes me wish that you would have, like, participated more with me in some things. Like, whenever we can write music together, like, honestly, and I don't think it sounds bad when it's the two of us. But I, by myself, cannot sit down and write a song and have it sound good.
I write poetry, so that's usually what I do for songs. I found like an old song that I wrote in like 8th grade going through my phone. And I have a Google Doc of like my poems and I put that in there. I'm like, fix this and make it sound like a better poem.
Yeah. When I was in high school, we had this project and it was extra credit to write a song involving some sort of chemical reaction. So I used decomposition, and with Stina's help, we actually wrote like a short little
Jingle.
minute.
It's like a jingle.
It was like a minute and a half breakup song basically, where I used the phrasing decomposition, but I framed it in the way of like a relationship rather than chemicals.
I don't even know where that song is, Sandra says he wants to hear.
I think I might have it on my phone still. You want me to try?
You can look for it and I'll just keep talking.
I'm pretty sure I have it in voice memos.
I have a lot of, I think, our old songs. If I find the folder I kept it in, then I could show on the podcast sometime. They're kind of cringy because we wrote them when we were under like 10. Oh god, please don't sing it, just read the lyrics.
I was gonna play the song because we have it on here like recorded.
No. How old was I in this?
You don't sing, I don't think. I think I'm the only one singing, but you helped me write the lyrics. And
Okay.
it's 13 seconds. I think it's here. I'll play the.
I hope we're arguing in the clip too.
It says it's 31 seconds, so we'll try it. I think. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's it. Now I'm just embarrassed.
That wasn't even the song.
It was so long. It was just my Grammy song.
That was my sister, yeah.
Shut up.
That wasn't even the right song.
I didn't even like that song.
You should have listened to it in your ear first, genius.
Just shut up.
Sounds so like me. Maybe. I mean, we kind of sound similar. We both can't sing, but we pretend that we
I
can.
can sing. That was not a good version. Oh, I think I found a link to. Yes, here it is. It's
Do you want
a
to be
minute
sure?
and a half. I
Do you
know
want
this
it
is
to? Okay.
No, I know this is it because it's the email I sent to the teacher with the song.
Oh God. Okay.
Voice crack. Ew.
But
And keep in mind I had to play this in front of the entire class to get the points.
Yeah, I would have never done that. So, Sandra said, there's no instrumental. No, we cannot play instruments. I mean, I used to play the piano.
I used to play the drums, and I also played the piano because that was a requirement to get into the drum program.
I used to play the piano a lot. Yeah. I don't know why we're not famous. Simon Cowell, hit us up.
Right.
StinaBear00@gmail.com. I'm just going to plug that email to every and any celebrity in every podcast now.
Yes.
I still haven't heard from Matter Jeff Hardy. I'm a little bit salty, but it's okay.
Yeah. But I used to do that kind of thing all the time, and I was actually totally fine with showing my class that song.
I wouldn't have been. I'm an introvert.
I am an introvert, but I was fine with it for some weird reason. Probably because I put a lot of effort in, and at the time I was like, this song is amazing, it's so great. And now as an adult, I'm like, it wasn't that great.
I didn't think it was bad, actually.
I wanted to change we were the product of decomposition kind of thing. This is how I wanted to phrase it, but the lyrics weren't the greatest. But when I tried to re-record it, it didn't sound very good, so. Aww, see, I like the melody.
Aw, you guys should date.
Why? He's my future brother-in-law. Can I not get along with my future brother-in-law?
Yeah, I used to, I would, like, write songs, but I'd get super bored doing it. Like, people would want to do it for, like, hours, me and my neighbor, and, like, my sister would want to do it for hours, but I have a short attention span, so I would hate it. That's why I grew up.
I just wanted you to sit down and write one song with me, start to finish, but you never would do that.
No, yeah, I have a short attention span. That's why I
have a whole song
the way
with random lyrics because I can't.
She's cut me off like so many times this podcast.
Well, you were talking for hours last podcast. I deserve a chance to speak.
Go away.
Bye. You got something important to look at later.
Oh, cool.
It's really big.
It's really big. Let's see. Let's see it. Let's look at it. Let's open it on
No, you don't want to.
Podcast.
No, you don't.
Just let me see it. I won't read it out loud. Oh, shoot. I can't even grab it. It's too heavy. Oh, shoot. I almost dropped it.
I told you it was big.
I'll have you know, Stina wrote a poem with me for over an hour, I think. Exposed.
Because she likes you better, Sand. That's how that works.
Yeah, I will write a song or poem.
The only time I get to spend with her is when we did this podcast.
Let's see what... Oh, it's from the government! That's why I won't read it out loud.
Told you.
The government's probably sending me a coronavirus kit. Here, test yourself. No. I don't remember what I was saying about songs. Oh, yeah, because you would always want to write songs and force me to do it rather than... Like, Shannon will agree, we didn't write the poem start to finish. We just did it for as long as we had the inspiration, then we stopped, and then we eventually finished it later. But, like, can you let me finish? But you trying to force me to sit down and write a song, like, made me, like, hate writing songs. That's why I really don't like writing songs anymore. It made me hate it.
Yeah, well, I had the inspiration was the thing. I was still inspired. You just didn't want to help me.
Yeah, because I would be bored.
But I have a whole song lyric journal thing where, like, on the front and back cover, I wrote down random lyrics that I thought were cool. And then I have so many random lyrics, but none of them fit together, so I can't make a song with any of them. They're just really good lyrics that are going nowhere.
Yeah.
It makes me very sad.
But yeah, if I ever find that, like, folder with all our old songs in it, I'll try to read some of them.
That's what I was thinking, Sam, but it doesn't work. It never has worked. I have, like, thousands of lyrics and none of them fit.
I was looking in my closet, and I don't think I've ever said this on stream, but I collect card decks.
Oh god.
But like not just normal card decks, like they have to have a different like face on them.
The interesting part about you collecting card decks is the fact that it actually started because our dad was out of town and he brought back a shot glass and a card deck for each of us. And she picked to collect card decks, and I wound up going the shot glass route. So I have like a lot of shot glasses in my room.
So what I was saying is I'm trying to organize them now, because before I just had them in like a tub just kind of scattered. So I'm trying to organize them. Like some of them I have like places. So like Canada.
World.
Well, let me finish. Like Canada, Germany, or I'll have like animals, so like orcas or birds. And I realized I have 2 card decks of SeaWorld, which I'm so against. Like, I hate SeaWorld with a passion, but I went there as a kid and I didn't hate it because I was a kid and I didn't understand, so I got 2 SeaWorld card decks. One of an orca and one of a dolphin.
And the dolphin's name was Duncan.
I really like that dolphin. I don't know why I did, but I was obsessed with the dolphin there named Duncan, who they later sold to like the military.
Supposedly. We don't even know if that's true.
That's what, because we asked, we're like, what happened to Duncan? And that's what they said.
But they didn't say sold, they said lent.
Lent. Yeah. You sold it. Exposed. But like, I could get rid of the card decks because I don't support SeaWorld, but then in my head I'm thinking, well, I already bought it. Like...
Sand asked a question about what the military would do with a dolphin, and it's because of the sonar capability dolphins have, I believe. I don't know, like, how
I just imagine
that, but apparently their sonar is really good, so...
I just imagine, like, what random animals does the military have?
Right? Like, dolphin, I didn't expect. That's why I'm saying I don't believe that fact that Duncan went to the military. They might have just said that because Duncan died or something. And you were a child.
Well, I didn't even go down there. It was our mom that went down there.
Well, you were there, though.
Maybe she made it up.
I remember being there when they said it.
Oh, I wasn't down there when they said it, so I wouldn't have
It was in
known.
a gift shop, I think.
Why would they gift shop people, though?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I'm just working here trying to...
I'm pretty sure they just made it up because they didn't want a little kid to be upset.
Whoever made that up, though, like... I don't like SeaWorld, so they don't deserve a raise, but, like, that's some fast thinking, and it's so unique that a kid wouldn't question it. Like, nah, you're lying. They'd be like, no way, cool, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I just imagine, like, the military has, like, a tiger for clawing enemies to death, and then, like, a dolphin for, like, sonar activity, and then, like...
Which is, like, that new TV show. Oh, God.
And then, like, they have... a dog to like lick the wounds of soldiers or something. They have like a whole zoo just for fighting. Just This isn't funny, but this is where my mind goes. What if like we had another war, but it wasn't fought by like humans, but it was fought by like dolphins? I don't mean that like in a funny sense, but I wonder if like a military would do that. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, but anyway, about the like 2 SeaWorld card decks I have, like I could throw them away because like I don't support it, but then I'm also thinking like I already bought them, so I supported them. But
and throwing away is not really gonna change.
Yeah.
That fact. They don't care if you buy it and throw it away. They just care that you bought it.
Yeah, so
It's like all those people that hate J.K. Rowling now. They're like all burning her books and everything, and I'm thinking in my head of like she still got royalties from you buying the book in the first place.
right. Shannon says burn it on stream. I don't know. I want like card decks with like an orca on it.
Wouldn't get her super grounded.
Like maybe I'll just like order a card deck online of like actual orcas in the wild. Sandra says, LOL, I like how you contemplated it for like 2 seconds.
She didn't contemplate it. She was picturing how mad she would make our parents.
No, I was thinking, I'm like, what incentive could I have? When I reach 10 million followers, I'll burn the card decks. But yeah, so I haven't finished organizing them yet. It's kind of hard because I'm organizing them, but then I like get tired because there's so many. So I have to take a break, but they're also super dusty. So I have to clean them off too before I put them in like a Ziploc bag. So Sandra was asking why I haven't sent the pictures yet, and that's because I'm not done.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a stack of them to my right. I have them like all over the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, she collects shot glasses.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious we both took one of the things he brought back for us, but we both picked the opposite one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a ton of shot glasses.
Which I would be more likely to get drunk, so.
Yeah. I don't use them though. Like, I just love them. They're really cute. I just like tiny glasses because they're so adorable.
She has like a whole shelf in her room, and like my greatest fear, because it's like right, like her door would hit the shelf, even though there's like a bumper on it, so it like, I don't know, softens the hit. My greatest fear is one day I'm gonna swing open her door and like break a lot of them, because I'm pretty sure.
There's a couple that are really thin. Like, they were designed really thin where I thought that they could possibly break, but.
Sandra and I'll never get how objects are cute. You don't get how a lot of things are cute. Except me. You think I'm cute.
So, yeah. Every time I go somewhere, I look for a shot glass. Last time I went to California, I bought like 3 or 4 shot glasses, just like all at one time.
I think you have a SeaWorld shot glass.
I have several SeaWorld shot glasses, actually.
Oops.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah. I really want to buy more shot glasses.
Though it would be satisfying if my cards were like glass to just shatter them on the pavement.
Mm.
So if you let me shatter your shot glasses, that would be cool.
No. Yeah. I even buy every year when I go to like, if I go to the state fair, I buy shot glasses.
Yeah, I have a Minnesota State Fair like card decks. Minnesota.
I don't always buy them though, because I look, and if they look like crap, I don't buy them.
Yeah.
2 years ago, they had like random colored ones, so they were like metallic looking, but you could pick your color. So I wound up getting like it's like a purplish pink color, but it looks really cool. Made me want to buy them all, but I was like, I'm not stupid to buy 5 of the same design just in different colors.
I would have been.
Well, I'm like, and they were kind of expensive. It was like $10 for a shot glass. I was like, jeez.
Sarah says, who has that Ender Dragon head, by the way? That
would be me.
Yeah.
If we want to, okay, you want to tell them why?
Well, the reason that we ended up doing this was because...
I mean, why I picked the dragon head.
Oh, because I always call her Dragon Breath.
Yeah, it's just like a running joke. She's really mean to me. You guys never see it, so you don't know how mean Stina actually is.
But
I go in my room and cry myself to sleep every night because of Stina.
You call me dog food, so I would like you to kindly shut off.
Only after you call me Dragon Breath.
We had to change the design of this a little bit. Well, I wanted to get the 2 girls, 1 mic thing, which thank you, Sandrine, for coming on and
doing the design.
We appreciate that.
Love you.
We changed, like, so it's not just 2 characters sitting there, because her character kept moving last stream, and it was annoying me. So I just put 2 armor stands and put clothes on them.
And we even did, like, funny little poses.
Yeah, like how we would actually do that.
That was like, it was just meant to be hilarious. Like, my character just has their leg up.
And mine is like dabbing, I think.
It's the closest thing to dabbing you could probably get.
Yeah. Our rat, Khaleesi, actually had surgery this week because she had a tumor like in between her back legs, and we took her to the vet last Saturday, and they said that they normally wouldn't remove like a tumor like that because it's not really like a spreading type tumor, it's just like a fatty tumor, but because it was between her legs, like where she poops, that like it was probably eventually gonna make it so she couldn't. So we got that removed, and she was okay. Like, she was more cuddly the first day, which obviously you just literally had like your asshole like cut in half. And I remember my dad dropped her off and they're like, asked him, do you want us to do CPR on the rat? He's like, no. And then he like came home and told me that like 3 hours later. I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you say no? And he's like, why would you do that for a rat? I'm like, why do you care? I'm the one paying for it. And you said no. So then he like called and said, no, actually do it. Something's clawing at my door.
No, that would be crazy lady coming back from the store.
Oh, and well, so we got the rat home and like everything went fine and she was like eating, but we had to separate them for a day because we have 2 rats and she wanted them separated for a week. And so we had her in her own little tub because they didn't want her like in her own bedding, which would apparently irritate like where she was cut. So we had her in a clothes basket. I felt really bad because we put holes in the top of it, but like it's still probably really dark in there. But she hadn't pooped and it had been like a day. I'm like, she hasn't pooped, but she's like eaten. So I call and they're like, well, she should have by now, but like just give it a little bit longer. And she finally pooped after like 2.5 days, and it was the best time of my life. I like cried happy tears. So I got to take her out and put her in half of the cage because we have like 3 levels of the cage. So we put her in the top half and the other one in the bottom half. And she like is taking her medicine like a champ. Like, how do you feed a rat medicine? It's like a syringe and you have to force it in in their mouth. And you think that she would like fight it, but she doesn't. So she takes it like a champ. But she's like doing so good that we were allowed to put them together. And I remember when I first put her in her cage, when they were separated, she was so excited, like running around like, I'm home, I miss this. And then when we finally like put them back together, they like did not care about each other at all.
They're social creatures.
They literally did not give 2 craps about each other. I'm like,
but they're social and we need to have at least 2.
That was not the epic reunion that I wanted.
It was not Hope and Klaus after decades apart.
Don't, too soon. I'm actually sad now.
I was so bummed with the Freya thing in Legacies. I was like, you gave her 5 minutes. Like, come on.
I don't care. You just triggered me with Klaus and Hope from the show The Originals. That's my favorite show of all time. That's actually one of the tattoos I'm gonna get is because the saying in that show is always and forever. So I'm gonna get that tattooed.
You tried to talk me into doing that as our sister tattoo. I was like, heck no. I'm not getting always and forever tattooed across my body.
But I still think the ending was not what it should have been. And the ending happened like 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. And I'm still not over it. I just feel like it deserves so much better. But I guess that's just a personal opinion. So like that's like I don't talk about it anymore. But that show got me through so much, which I know is probably bad to say about a show, but like
she gets weirdly obsessed with things.
I do, like I don't.
It's a little much, but it's whatever.
It's not. It's like unhealthy, and like I've talked to my counselor about it. But I'm like I get like attached, like an obsession with a lot of things that like you wouldn't. So like my first one was WWE as a kid. I was like obsessed, not just like I enjoyed it, like I was obsessed, like that was my life kind of thing. And then it was like that for about I don't know how many years, it really doesn't matter, but then I kind of got over it, and then I jumped to like The Originals, and I was like obsessed with that too. Like probably super unhealthy where that was my life. Like I was going through so much thing, and in my mind I would justify it like I can get through this bad thing if I can watch The Originals on the day of the week where it's a new episode. Like that's how I would justify it. So then The Originals ended, and kind of like it wasn't the ending I wanted, so like it sounds bad, but like I literally got in a depression about it. And not where I'm just like, oh, it was sad. Like, no, I actually was mad because it was like, for me, it was a huge part of my life where it's like, well, I just felt my life ended, but it wasn't how I wanted it to end, if that makes sense, in an unhealthy way. So then in my head, I'm like, oh, I'll just pretend it was a different ending, but like I really can't. And then recently I like got back into WWE in like a super unhealthy way.
Yeah. Every time I walk past, if you're not playing video games, you're watching WWE.
Which, I mean, like I say it's unhealthy, but I still do it.
Oh, sis, I forgot. Did you see my message I sent you earlier?
Of what?
Frozen 2 is on Disney Plus because of the coronavirus. So now you can watch Frozen 2.
But yeah, that's unhealthy, Stina. Like as a kid, not so much now, but like I had a hard time separating like reality from like real. Like I would pretend, like as a kid when I watched WWE, I would pretend like I was in the show. And like I knew I was faking it, but like I preferred doing that over like living my real life, which is why I think it's like the unhealthy part. Whereas like as I got older, it kind of like it wasn't like I pretended I was in it, but I would just like fantasize about it all the time. That's why I say it's like unhealthy. But then my counselor kind of explained it in a way where she's like, I think it's like a coping mechanism where it's not necessarily toxic because you don't want to change it, but you know it's not what the normal person does. Where it's like, I don't know why. Well, I kind of get the originals a bit because I had like a lot of stressful times like with my family, and that show was like all about family and sort of things, so like I related to it a lot because it was about like a toxic family, but then they grew to love each other. So I think that's why I attached to that one. I don't really understand WWE. I think I just thought Jeff Hardy was hot. I think I liked that he was like a kid, but an adult. She's literally looking on Facebook right now. She doesn't give any craps about my addiction.
Not at all. And it's not Facebook, it's Instagram. If you're gonna call me out, get it right.
Sorry. But yeah, that was me talking about my unhealthy habits, where it's like, I know it's unhealthy, but I don't necessarily want to change it because it brings me comfort. But I understand and I accept that it's not something the average person would grow that attached to.
At least you're not like, what is his name? Ted Bundy. I know it's unhealthy to want to kill people, but I'm not gonna change.
Yeah, I don't kill people, so.
At least, actually. You might kill them in your mind, but that'd be about it.
But yeah. So like I could accept when a person says it's weird, but I'm also not gonna change it, if that makes sense. Because it really is like a comfort thing, I think, in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like me with fanfics. I get like really attached to some of these storylines, and I'm like, it's so good.
Yeah. That like got me down, but like I don't know why I opened up about that, but I did, so there you go. A little snippet into my mind.
Into the mind of a crazy lady.
That's so.
A crazy Stina.
Where it's like, it's kind of interesting, like, therapy's interesting in a way because I never really took it seriously. Like, I didn't think of it as a bad thing, but I kind of just would talk about, like, my life or my week or something, and that's it. But, like, this, like, actually, like, digging deep into why, like, makes me realize, like, a lot of things I do are, like, coping for stuff that you wouldn't think it would be coping. Kind of thing. It's interesting. Like, I used to get anxious a lot, and I still do. And that was kind of, like, coping in a negative way. That was, like, my response to whatever. I'd be anxious. But now, well, not now so much anymore, but for a little bit, I had it where I would like hear things and I would be more paranoid than anxious. That was probably like 2 months ago maybe. Like, and it's not like I would hear voices or whatnot. It's just like if someone was talking, in my head it was like they're yelling, and I wouldn't get anxious, I would just like get paranoid. So it like turned to, like, rather than anxious, it would turn to like paranoia. And then she like made me count how many times a day that happened, and then when I realized how little it happens, it made me less like paranoid, so then it kind of went away. I'm crazy, okay?
And you act like this is news?
So it's kind of like, thinking about it, or it's like, I would go on walks because it would calm me down, but I didn't realize, like, oh, that's technically, like, a coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would, like, have she put it onto a T. It would always make me feel weird because I would have dreams where I would go through my day in my dreams like I would in real life, so I never could tell when I was dreaming and when I wasn't. And then she's like, does it feel like you're like on the outside looking in? I'm like, that's 100% it. And then she's like reading me other stuff. She's like, that's like dissociation, where you feel like you're on the outside looking in. I'm like, oh. And then she's like, so now that you're not anxious so much anymore, you're like wanting to analyze everything. I'm like, okay. But then like I kind of learned, this is what I do so I can tell if I'm dreaming or not if it happens, is I'll put like something cold on my hand. Like I'll turn the water on cold, or like I'll make my phone like vibrate or something, then I can tell like, okay, I can feel that, so like it's real. Or I can't feel that, so it's a dream kind of thing. It's all about finding tricks.
Yep.
She doesn't care at all. She's literally on Facebook.
No, I'm sorting.
Sorting.
Doing this.
Oh my god. She's doing a coping mechanism to deal with annoyance. She's sorting on colors.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. It's like a puzzle game where you have to like sort balls into like their own little containers, but you can't have colors that don't match touch each other, so you have to switch them carefully. So it's kind of a weird game, but it's a lot of fun for me.
Dana says, see, I never remember stuff like that in my dream. I don't all the time, but when I do remember, I usually can tell, like, oh, it's real life sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Like, I mean, I'm in a good place, like, mentally now. I don't know what else to say besides that.
Mm-hmm.
2020's been a good year until coronavirus came. 2020 actually has been a super good year for me.
Yeah, it's been good for me too. I have a lot of cool things that are happening.
Yeah. I don't know really what else to say. We really have no plan for this podcast.
Yeah. And it's almost over. We've literally ranted about random things for the past hour.
It's been hard though, trying to come up with stuff for me.
Really? It's been hard for you? It hasn't been hard for me. But then again, I've been like, not really.
Sandra says, almost World War III and Corona. Stiana feels good when the world around her is falling apart. The
It's true.
ultimate coping mechanism. I was thinking about that yesterday. I'm like, how come every time I'm happy, the world just lets like, ha, nope. I was thinking about that literally yesterday. I'm like, that's why Corona came. I'm like, wait, no, that's toxic. And then I just like pushed it out of my head. I'm like, nope, that's not true.
Yeah.
Therapy is cool. I also was going to talk about the other tattoos I'm going to get, so I'm going to end the podcast with that. So like I said, I'm going to get the Always and Forever. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it like right above my keyboard, and then it's going to be in red, and it's going to be like blood dripping down, because in the originals there's a lot of blood, because they're like immortal beings.
Mm-hmm.
Vampires, so like blood, that makes sense. And then I also want to get an orca tattoo, which I'm either going to get on my arm somewhere or behind my ear, like kind of on your neck ear area. So it'd be covered by my hair unless like I put my hair up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's pretty much it that I have so far. I know I want to get like gaming tattoos of some kind. I know I want to get...
I know you want a stupid gaming tattoos because you were trying to talk me into Mario Galaxy first.
I did. I really want a Mario Galaxy one, but I want it with my sister. I don't want to just get it by myself, and I know that's not going to happen, so I've kissed that dream goodbye. Yeah. But I'm thinking of putting, like, the Sony controller, like the triangle, circle, X, and square somewhere, and I was thinking about getting it with whoever wants to in All Kings. And that might sound like a bad idea to get tattoos with friends, because if you're ever not friends, then you have it on your body forever. But my mentality is, if you get it like a gaming controller, let's say, on your body, if you're not friends, it's still relevant, if that makes sense. But, I mean, obviously I don't plan on not being friends with them for the rest of my life, but I know that's a huge thing with tattoos, and you never know what life's going to throw at you.
Right.
But I don't think I ever would get, like, someone's name on my body. Maybe if I had kids, maybe my kids' names.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who do their kids' names.
Yeah. Also, when Pugsley dies, I'm gonna get his paw print on me.
How are you gonna do that?
You know how the vet, if you put the dog to sleep, they'll give you, like, our vet at least will give you, like, their paw print? I'm gonna then bring it to a tattoo artist, be like, I need this on my body. I kind of want to get, like, a Twitch tattoo, maybe, like, the Twitch logo, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to get an LS tattoo for sure. Yeah. Those are my tattoos. That's why I said, like, I want them to have meaning. I don't just want to be like, hey, let's just put that because it looks cool. Which I don't judge people that do that, but that's just not what I want. So those are all the tattoos I'm going to get, and that's how we're going to end the podcast, is talking about my tattoos. Do you have any final words?
I really want my Doctor Who tattoo, fam. Are you sure you don't want to get that match?
No. But anyway, thank you guys for watching the podcast, and we will see you next Sunday.
Assuming nothing comes up, because we canceled on you guys a lot. Sorry.
At 2 p.m. Central Time. I know we started an hour late, but our normal time is Sundays at 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time.
Hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.